Welcome to the final webinar in the Foundation's Community Partnership Series, Leadership Ready AI, What to Know, What to Do. This session is Prompt Like a Pro, better questions, better results. One of the biggest mindset shifts with AI is realizing that its best use is not to replace your thinking, but to support it. Throughout this series, I hope a key takeaway has been that AI works best as a thought partner, not a thought leader. The goal is not to use AI on autopilot. The goal is to bring your judgment, experience, and values with you. Using AI well does not mean becoming technical or complicated. It just means learning a few practical moves that help you get results that are more useful, more specific, and more worth your time. Let's do a short recap of the first two sessions. In Webinar 1, AI Basics Without the Hype, we learned that AI is a tool, not magic. It's useful for drafting, organizing, summarizing, and brainstorming, but it comes with risks like hallucinations, bias, and privacy concerns. In the second webinar, The AI Ready Leader, we learned that leaders need judgment before adoption. We need to start with use cases, guardrails, and staff readiness. And not every AI tool or use case is worth pursuing. So that brings us to today's focus, how to ask better questions so you get better results. And really the theme running through all of this is iteration. Prompting gets better through practice and refinement, and AI becomes more useful the more thoughtfully you work with it. There is a lot of AI noise out there right now. That's not accidental. It comes from the way generative AI works. AI does not think, understand, or judge the way humans do. It predicts likely words and phrases based on patterns in the data it was trained on. So when you give it a vague prompt, it often gives you the linguistic equivalent of something in middle of the road, safe, familiar, and generic. It doesn't automatically know your values, audience, voice, sensitivities, or anything that should be avoided. And because it's built to generate an answer, it will usually give you one, even when that answer is bland or off base. Think of vague prompts like stock photos. They're polished and usable, but they're not really you, they're generic. Vague prompts invite generic output. Specific prompts reduce the noise. So here we have a weak prompt, create an agenda for a partner meeting. And next to that, we have a strong prompt. Acting as an expert facilitator, create an agenda for a meeting with the XYZ Foundation. This is the second of 3 meetings we plan on having, and our purpose is to ... You get the idea. Better output matters because trust can be damaged when people feel reduced to generic language. Harm can happen when AI output is inaccurate, biased, or insensitive to lived experience. Let's do a real-time example. Here's an example of a bad, vague prompt. Draft a volunteer recruitment post for my nonprofit. Absolutely, here's a polished, general-purpose volunteer recruitment post you can use and customize. And it goes on and gives me a pretty good general response. We're looking for passionate, reliable volunteers to join our nonprofit and help us make a meaningful impact. Whether you have a few hours a week or can support us at special events, your time and talents help change lives. And it goes on, but as you read this, you can see that it could really be for any nonprofit. Now here's an example of a more specific prompt. You are an experienced director of volunteer management at a respected nonprofit organization serving a middle-class community. Write a Facebook post recruiting new volunteers for XYZ nonprofit, a local organization that runs a food pantry. The tone should be warm, friendly, and empowering. We want to reach adults in the community who care about helping neighbors, but may not think of themselves as typical volunteers. Highlight the flexible opportunities, including packing food boxes and helping at community events. Keep the post under 120 words. End with a simple call to action encouraging people to attend an info session. Let's see what we get here. And it's telling us this is a Facebook ready version. You can always blow out different types of messages into that are more appropriate for different media types. So you can see this is a fairly short post, probably under 120 words as I requested. At XYZ Nonprofit, neighbors help neighbors, and you don't need special experience to make a real difference. If you care about our community and can spare a little time, we'd love to welcome you. Volunteers help in flexible ways, from packing food boxes at our pantry to supporting community events. And I can go on, but you can see this is a much more tailored response. You can see that there are certain elements in the more advanced post that created much better output that requires much less editing and is much more appropriate for that nonprofit's communications. What we did was make AI a mirror. It can reflect the quality of thinking you bring to it if you prompt well. Think of using generative AI as an invitation to think more clearly. In the previous example, you can see the 5 core elements of the Mirror 8 method I've developed. We've applied a role and a style. You are an experienced director of volunteer management, and the tone should be warm, friendly, and empowering. We gave instructions. Write a Facebook post recruiting new volunteers. We added context. Serving a middle-class community provides tutoring, food support, and family assistance. We told it what the desired outcome was. Feel welcoming, meaningful difference close to home, reach adults who may not think of themselves as typical volunteers. And then we gave it output format and constraints about keeping the post under 120 words and avoiding sounding overly formal or desperate, and ending with a simple call to action. This method asks you to think before you type. It's designed so that the output actually reflects your goals and values, not generic content that sounds like it could have come from anywhere and would be appropriate for anyone. We don't want to check our judgment at the door when we use AI. We want to guide it so our work is actually better. These 5 elements are the building blocks of a strong prompt. Try to use them whenever you start one. Let's review each element again and how to use it. Role and style tells us who the AI should be. The instructions or the task tells the AI exactly what to do. The context sets the scene. The desired outcome asks, what are you trying to do? And the output format defines the deliverable. There are 3 more advanced elements I teach in deeper training that can make prompts even more powerful. They build on the idea of mirroring by helping the AI learn from examples, ask better follow-up questions, and evaluate its own output more critically. In past workshops, we've talked a lot about hallucinations, and this verification block helps reduce them. It asks for reliable sources and links, compares responses, checks source accuracy, says what to do if no source is available, notes the sources to avoid, and lists assumptions. Anytime you ask for output that depends on external facts, you should use this or something like it. Let's look at a few nonprofit use cases. In development and fundraising, you might use it to prepare for donor conversations and help create internal tools like a donor FAQ. In communications, maybe use it to adapt content for different channels and improve clarity. In programs and operations, maybe use it to summarize information, draft handouts, and document processes. And in strategic planning, you can use it in very powerful ways to organize your thinking, compare options, and support planning discussions. I always want to stress these important guardrails. Never input personally identifiable information, client data, personal or HR details, or confidential information into public AI tools. Anonymize or fictionalize all examples before prompting. I do not recommend automating client services or using AI to make safety calls, assess people, or replace professional judgment. And finally, make sure that human review is the final quality control for every AI output. This slide is about building good habits. Useful AI results usually come through iteration, You try something, refine it, notice what worked, and save what is worth reusing. Over time, that becomes a prompt library. It helps you get to better results faster, create more consistency across your team, and build institutional memory instead of reinventing the wheel every time you prompt. And as you do that, be transparent when AI helped shape the work. Clear disclosure is a simple way to build trust. A prompt library does not have to be complicated. Start with a shared place, add a few basic rules, use consistent structure, organize prompts so people can find them, and set simple guardrails for review. And finally, here are some recommendations on how to actually use the prompt library. I recommend designating an AI champion, someone who will maintain the library, surface new use cases, and serve as the internal resource for AI questions. Finally, consider creating an AI policy for your organization so staff have clear guardrails for using these tools responsibly. Thanks again for being part of this series. I hope it's given you practical ways to think about AI with more confidence, more clarity, and more intention. And thank you to Foundation's Community Partnership for making this possible. If your organization would benefit from deeper AI training, I offer customized workshops for nonprofit staff, leaders, and boards. I also support nonprofits through services like Friction to Flow and Flow in Practice, which help organizations strengthen the systems, workflows, and habits that make better work possible. If you'd like to continue the conversation, I'd love to connect. Have a great day.